Leo Tolstoy, War and Peace, Book 1, Part 1, Chapter 11. After receiving her visitors, the Countess was so tired that she gave orders to admit no more, but the porter was told to be sure to invite to dinner all who came to offer their congratulations. The Countess wished to have a tête-à-tête talk with a friend of her childhood, Princess Anna Mikhailovna, whom she had not seen properly since she returned from Petersburg. Anna Mikhailovna, with a tear-worn but pleasant face, drew her chair nearer to that of the Countess. "With you I will be quite frank," said Anna Mikhailovna. "There are not many left of us old friends. That's why I so value your friendship." Anna Mikhailovna looked at Vera and paused. The Countess pressed her friend's hand. "Vera," she said to her eldest daughter, who was evidently not a favorite, "how is it you have so little tact? Don't you see you're not wanted here? Go to the other girls, or—" The handsome Vera smiled contemptuously, but did not seem at all hurt. "If you had only told me sooner, Mamenka, I would have gone at once," she replied as she rose to go to her own room. But as she passed the sitting room, she noticed two couples sitting, one pair at each window. She stopped and smiled scornfully. Sonia was sitting close to Nikolai, who was copying out some verses for her, the first he had ever written. Boris and Natasha were at the other window and ceased talking when Vera entered. Sonia and Natasha looked at Vera with guilty, happy faces. It was pleasant and touching to see these little girls in love, but apparently the sight of them roused no pleasant feeling in Vera. "How often have I asked you not to take my things?" she said. "You have a room of your own," and she took the inkstand from Nikolai. In a minute," he said, dipping his pen. "You always manage to do things at the wrong time," continued Vera. "You came rushing into the drawing room so that everyone felt ashamed of you." Though what she said was quite just, perhaps for that very reason no one replied, and the foursome simply looked at one another. She lingered in the room with the inkstand in her hand. "And at your age, what secrets can there be between Natasha and Boris, or between you two? It's all nonsense." "Well, what business is it of yours, Vera?" said Natasha in defense, speaking in a quiet little voice. She seemed that day to be more than ever kind and affectionate to everyone. "Very silly," said Vera. "I am ashamed of you. Secrets indeed." "All have secrets of their own," answered Natasha, getting warmer. "We don't interfere with you and Berg." "I should think not," said Vera, "because there can never be anything wrong in my behavior. But I'll just tell Mama how you are behaving with Boris." "Natalia Ilyishna behaves very well to me," remarked Boris. "I have nothing to complain of." "Don't, Boris. You are such a diplomat that it is really irritating," said Natasha in a mortified voice that trembled slightly. She used the word diplomat, which was just then much in vogue among the children in the special sense they attached to it. "Why does she bother me?" And she added, turning to Vera. "You'll never understand it because you've never loved anyone. You have no heart. You are a Madame de Genlis, and nothing more." This nickname bestowed on Vera by Nikolai was considered very stinging. "And your greatest pleasure is to be unpleasant to people. Go and flirt with Berg as much as you please," she finished quickly. "I shall at any rate not run after young men before visitors." "Well, now you've done what you wanted," put in Nikolai. "Said unpleasant things to everyone and upset them. Let's go to the nursery." The foursome, like a flock of scared birds, got up and left the room. "The unpleasant things were said to me," remarked Vera. "I said none to anyone." "Madame de Genlis! Madame de Genlis!" shouted laughing voices through the door. The handsome Vera, who produced such an irritating and unpleasant effect on everyone, smiled, and evidently unmoved by what had been said to her, went to the looking-glass and arranged her hair and scarf. Looking at her own handsome face, she seemed to become still colder and calmer. In the drawing-room the conversation was still going on. "Ah, chère," said the Countess, "in my life, tout n'est pas rosé. Don't I know that du train que nous allons, our means won't last long? It's all the club and his easy-going nature. Even in the country do we get any rest? theatricals, hunting, and heaven knows what besides. But let's talk about me. Tell me how you managed everything. I often wonder at you, Annette. How at your age you can rush off alone in a carriage to Moscow, to Petersburg, to those ministers and great people, and know how to deal with them all. It's quite astonishing. How did you get things settled? I couldn't possibly do it. Ah, my love, answered Anna Mikhailovna, God grant you never know what it is to be left a widow without means and with a son you love to distraction. One learns many things then, she added with a certain pride. That lawsuit taught me much. When I want to see one of those big people, I write a note. Princesse une telle desires an interview with so-and-so. And then I take a cab and go myself 2, 3, or 4 times till I get what I want. I don't mind what they may think of me. Well, and to whom did you apply about Borenka? Asked the countess. You see, your son is already an officer in the guards, while my Nikolushka is going as a cadet. There is no one to take an interest in him. To whom did you apply? To Prince Vasily. He was so kind. He at once agreed to everything and put the matter before the emperor, said Princess Anna Mikhailovna enthusiastically, quite forgetting all the humiliation she had endured to gain her end. Has Prince Vasily aged much? Asked the countess. I have not seen him since we acted together at the Rumyantsev's theatricals. I expect he has forgotten me. Il me faisait la cour, said the countess with a smile. He is just the same as ever, replied Anna Mikhailovna, overflowing with amiability. Les grandeurs ne lui ont pas tourné la tête du tout, he said to me. I am sorry I can do so little for you, dear princess. I am at your command. Yes, he is a fine fellow and a very kind relation. But Natalie, you know my love for my son. I would do anything for his happiness. And my affairs are in such a bad way that my position is now a terrible one, continued Anna Mikhailovna sadly, dropping her voice. My wretched lawsuit takes all I have and makes no progress. Would you believe it? I have à la lettre not a penny and don't know how to equip Boris. She took out her handkerchief and began to cry. I need 500 rubles and have only one 25-ruble note. I am in such a state. My only hope now is in Count Kirill Vladimirovich Bezukhov. If he will not assist his godson, you know he's Boria's godfather, and allow him something for his maintenance, all my trouble will have been thrown away. I shall not be able to equip him. The countess's eyes filled with tears, and she pondered in silence. I often think, though perhaps it's a sin, said the princess, that here lives Count Kirill Vladimirovich Bezukhov, so rich, all alone, that tremendous fortune. And what is his life worth? It's a burden to him, and Boria's life is only just beginning. I am sure he will leave something to Boris, said the countess. Heaven only knows, chère amie. These rich grandees are so selfish. Still, I will take Boris and go to see him at once, and I shall speak to him straight out. Let people think what they will of me. It's really all the same to me when my son's fate is at stake. The princess rose. It's now 2 o'clock and you dine at 4. There will just be time. And like a practical Petersburg lady who knows how to make the most of time, Anna Mikhailovna sent someone to call her son and went into the anteroom with him. Goodbye, my dear, said she to the countess, who saw her to the door and added in a whisper so that her son should not hear, Wish me good luck. Are you going to Count Kirill Vladimirovich, ma chère? Said the count, coming out from the dining hall into the anteroom, and he added, If he is better, ask Pierre to dine with us. He has been to the house, you know, and danced with the children. Be sure to invite him, ma chère. We will see how Taras distinguishes himself today. He says Count Orlov never gave such a dinner as ours will be. This is the end of chapter 11.